Two. Happening YouTube. You back in the building with the Avengers, the Black Avengers, that is, of culture and life gains. It's me, my big homie, the living legend Larry. What's up?
Oh man, I'm in here just trying to make it work, man. Trying to make the world some sense of the world. That is about it.
Yeah, well, it's tough to do that when the free world don't make sense himself, ain't it? It's real tough to do that.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the beacon on the hill. We're supposed to be that light in the, that lighthouse in the storm. And instead, we're the damn storm. I mean,
right. We're the lightning and the wind and everything coming at you, coming at your lighthouse. We're the hurricane.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Shame. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're still going to continue to talk about issues dealing with the community. But now we are going to also kind of cater some of our content more toward the reviews we've normally have done in the past with Power What May Have You. It's coming out next Sunday. Me and Larry are planning to review that next Monday. We're watching a current show that's on Sunday that y'all are just missing out on called Hightown. We're going to talk about that last episode. We're going to talk about our feelings about the blood. And some of y'all might be mad with when we talk about the five bloods and stuff we got to say. We're going to talk about Dave Chappelle's special. It was a hell of a special. We're going to talk about him and Candace Owens' clap of Dave Chappelle for talking about her pussy was rotten. And then we're going to end with some Marvel news for my financial people. We've got what was going on in the stock market today, why a lot of people had things to say. And look who just decided to come in here. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back.
T-Stream's in the house.
My man has been on Heller CPT time. Heller CPT time.
I don't think.
Hey, what's up, brother? It looked like you've been playing golf with Tiger Woods. Got on a nice fresh hat, golfing hat. What's good?
I don't know, man. We was able to open up our establishments today, man, and I just sort of been running back and forth, and then prior to I opened up fireworks stands in front, in under tents and in front of our little areas, to bring awareness to our actual buildings and stuff, and just sort of going, man, it's just a whole lot of ripping, running. Didn't know they love fireworks that much, man. And so I was like,
hey man, T-Streams.
What's happening?
With the way it's been on a lockdown, I mean, people are liable to want to see ants strip because they so starved for something else to do outside. It's been rough, man. It's been rough.
Yeah, I've been having to make.
People want to.
Yeah, it's wild, man. But I don't know. I see things coming back to some normalcy, but then I tend to still keep my ear to BBC World and some other stuff just to sort of make sure that we're not being duped, and because some of us will, and unfortunately. So other than that, man,
T-Streams, you don't like falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
Nah, man. Well, I'm gonna tell you here, they're a little bit too free. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, they jump straight back into season without no reserve, and I'm like, oh man. And you see a lot of people, you see it through social media and every place else that, hey, folks giving you these warnings that COVID is very much still real. It's still out there, doing whatever it is it do. You just can't jump full, head first. And but some people like, screw it. And so
yeah, man. Well, we're gonna dive right on in, T-Streams. What we're gonna do today, ladies and gentlemen, we're only going to have one of our in-community conversations. We've got to talk about the killing of another unarmed black man in Atlanta. What's going on with that? We're going to review Hightown episode that came on yesterday, number 5. We're going to review the Bloods. the Five Bloods. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Dave Chappelle's special, talking about Candace Owens and that rotten stuff she got. We're going to do Marvel, and we're going to end with the financial news. I got what's going on in the stock market for you guys today. But before we jump to this, I got to pay my respects to all my super chatters. We have 2 supers that go monthly now, Howard and my man Mike Willie. And for you two guys, I've got a brand new visual lab for you guys. Let me know if you like it, and I'll give you a synopsis of what it's all about. You know how you go to the club and you expect people to make it rain with cash? Well, have you ever been to the club and seen strippers make it rain? If you haven't, this is what it looks like.
She was stuck upside down.
That's not how you want.
She was stuck.
Oh
my gosh.
Fellas, that's for you. If you see that, you'll never want to go to the strip club again. So I'm grateful for your monthly super chat, but I had to give y'all that one. And I'm going to save that one to keep it going in the future. So I'm going to toss the ball to Larry right now. Larry, give us the synopsis of what happened in Atlanta so we can discuss it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so apparently the cops are back at it. Not that they ever stopped, so I really shouldn't say they're back at it. They killed another black man, another unarmed black man. And this time, I guess the brother, maybe he had been drinking, and he was at a Wendy's drive-thru, fell asleep in the car. And I guess instead of somebody coming out and telling him, hey, move your car, they called the police on him. The police came out. It was a very strange sort of interaction because it was a long one. It wasn't like some of these things that happened really quick. This thing happened over like the course of like 28 minutes, I think they said, where there was an officer there. They were talking. Then another officer came out. Then a breathalyzer happened, a field sobriety test. And then I guess they were trying to arrest him or take him down or something. They had him on the ground. I guess they were trying to arrest him. It all went sideways. A fight broke out. The dude took one of the officer's tasers and tried to run. And the guy was running away from the officers. He turned around like he was trying to tase him or something. Then he turned and started running again. And one of the officers shot him in the back a couple times and killed him. So, I mean, it's very, very frustrating. It looks like, the police chief went and resigned like immediately. The mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she obviously doesn't have the authority to bring charges against the officer. That's something that the attorney, the DA's office has to do, or the state's attorney general has to do. One of the two of them. But she did fire the officer right away. One of them is fired. The other responding officer is on administrative leave. So, but regardless, fired, administrative leave, they get that where this brother's dead. And, if you watch the video, some people may say, oh, well, he was endangering the officer, but the guy was unarmed. He did fight back. He did have the taser, but the taser is considered non-life threatening. And so you can't really use it. Apparently, according to Georgia law, you can't use deadly force when someone is not using deadly force against you. And because tasers are not considered deadly force, there's no justification for, even if he took it and used it against the officer, there's no justification for them using their guns against him. So it's another instance where it just seems like if it's a black person, they are going to use as much deadly force as possible, as quick as possible, when they could have simply they could have possibly let him go. They knew who he was. It wasn't like this was some instance over there. They were chasing some bank robber or something out of a bank, or chasing some masked man out of a liquor store. This was a guy they had in his car. They had his driver's license. They knew who he was. They know where they're going to be able to find him. They could have just simply let him go. If he ran, they could have let him go. They could have chased him down, went to his house, and just waited for him to show up later. but they didn't. Instead, the man's dead. And it's just one of those things that it just makes me really, really angry, where I'm just like, they burned down that Wendy's apparently, and you know how I feel. I don't think that's enough, but you know, it's just
Man.
at some point you start to have, at some point you start to get fatigued about all. It happens so much, and there's so much of it happening in such a short span, whether it be, George Floyd or Breonna or this brother here or the old man in Buffalo or the Australian news crew getting beat up in front of the White House, or the whole White House situation where they're getting tear gas. There's so much happening. It's like you get fatigue. It's like, yeah. Anyhow,
But that's what this White House wants us to do. Larry, you know that his whole theory is the chaos theory. You create so many different chaotic situations that people take their eyes off of what you're really doing. Now you're gaslighting the world so much. Only problem with this is not gaslighting. This is real life. When I first heard the story, I read it. I read it. My wife read it to me, and it didn't do justice to what the video showed. Because when I heard the story, I thought he was face up with the officer, took his taser, and was about to shoot the officer in the face. That's the way it read on paper. It never said that he was fleeing the scene. And you mentioned the Georgia law. Does that Georgia law also apply to officers, or is that just for bystanders, civilians who have weapons?
No, the law applies. The law applies to all Georgia citizens, including to not even just Georgia citizens. It applies to all people within the state of Georgia, regardless of your position. It doesn't matter if you're a regular Georgia citizen, an immigrant, a visitor from out of state, a police officer, a politician. The law is the law. That is supposedly the nature of our judicial system, is that no one is above the law, regardless of your position in the community, whether it be a police officer, a politician, a doctor, a lawyer, or a drug dealer. It doesn't really matter. Everyone is supposed to be equal under the law. And so I'm happy to see that the officer was fired. I just really hope that the DA will bring charges. I mean, the coroner, or the medical examiner had ruled this death a homicide. So they did an autopsy and they ruled the death a homicide. So hopefully that helps. I don't know. We see so many of these cops get out of these things that when you think they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, T-Streams is cut and dry for me, so I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah, man. When I saw that the other day, I didn't touch it because like Larry said, it's becoming draining, and these stories they come back to back to back, and I've heard, I just sort of glanced at a few threads about it and saw different opinions from actually both sides of the fence. But I am glad that they took some action. But the real question is that if this type of stuff can't stop during this current crisis or situation, how is it going to stop after all of protesting and after all of the hoopla and all of the energy has waned back to normalcy? And so if we can't get this straight, like right now, I don't see how it's going to get straight later. And then it just leads me to believe that, okay, this is just another notch. It's just another notch in this eternal belt that's going to continue to go on and on and on, regardless of pretty much what we do. Because I'm sure when this came out, because now everybody's catching everything on these cell phone cameras. I mean, you can barely breathe without a camera being, in your way someplace. And what alarms me more is that these guys or these officers, seeing how escalated things were actually right there in Atlanta, didn't even think twice to even consider that. I mean, there has to be some, you know, some strain of humanity floating around an individual, especially a cop, during all this stuff. It seems like you would be a little bit even more careful, you know, on how you respond. But honestly, man, I'm sort of man, I'm actually sort of losing faith in the system because, you know, I don't see a resolve coming no time soon. Um, we're going to be singing this same song. We'll drag along our protests. They'll change a few things to sort of pacify the whining baby, and then it's going to continue to come on, and then so right now, so who's going to be the next victim? Is it going to be me? Because I'm damn sure going to fight them back. I'm going to voice my opinion. They come fooling with me. Is it going to be the next man? You know, so and then if I understand clearly, I think this man was shot in his back.
Yeah, more than once.
He was running away.
He was running away and was
running
shot in his back
away.
more than once.
Yeah, so so you know, even those, even an average citizen that goes to get their CPL carrier's license, when they go through their training, they're taught that, hey, if they're fleeing and you're no longer in immediate danger, you can't bust.
You can't shoot them. No.
And not be justified because that immediate threat is now gone. And so you take an officer of the law that has that same training from a different standpoint, and abuses that. So so we can take it and we can say, okay, yeah, he did have a taser, he did do this and did do that. Well, okay, that's it is what it is what it is. I guess at the bottom line was, was the threat of immediate danger to those individual cops' lives, was that point valid, and was that point clear? And so so I hadn't followed back up to see where everything is where everything is leaving now. I hadn't even watched the video. I started to look at it today, and I was just like, you know what, by the time I got to this video, it shows graphic content, viewer discretion advised. I was just like, you know what, this is like a glorified gang war. These guys, they're abusing their badges, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that that police should not use force when it's warranted, because crooks and goons, they can take advantage of this situation and exploit things a little bit to their benefit. So I'm not taking away that, but I do, it would be nice if we could have some closure to this. But the sad thing is, I really don't see it coming. I don't see anything. And so I'm gonna go take a look at the video once we're done today, just so that I have a mental note, because we're being picked off one by one, and if you continue to pick off one by one, you eventually get the whole lot. And so so it's really just a matter of time that the law of averages fall and any of our numbers fall down. But we don't want it to happen, and it's just sort of jacked up because this is steadily going, and in the midst of all this craziness that's going on, especially out of all the hype that they had going down there in Atlanta,
Yeah.
I would have just thought that a damn cop would not be that anxious. But then it goes to show either some of them either just don't care, or they're looking to find a way to justify it, or what. So I don't know. I really wonder what's going to happen if they're going to, I hadn't heard anything whether or not the DA is looking at it, but I guarantee you this: if the DA is not looking into it, then when it's time to elect another DA, he or she may have some issues, or some kind of consequences behind that, because right now the people is irate, so
Yeah.
Man, we gotta have all the cops that consider themselves good cops jumping in front of microphones and condemning this and wishing that these bad cops get taken to task to the full extent of the law, because it's ruining their names. And they also need to get up there and take to task the police unions, because that's the real battle that we're really fighting. Number one, we've got to get justice for these cops that's been involved in what has turned into a splintering point for the nation just in the last 4 weeks. Every officer you have seen that's acting unruly, he's got to be punished to the full extent, and we need to know about it. And they've got to, through policy, voting, and whatever other means it takes, you have got to take apart that police union. It has got to be done, because those are the walls standing in front of people feeling better, people feeling like there's justice. And I do feel like we need more good cops who have discernment, who, when they see this, it makes their skin crawl. They've got to be brave enough to come out and speak against it.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the other thing with that, is that it's not just these officers that are doing the shooting. There's a whole host of them. Like the idea, like this whole thing is shattered. I think the idea of the bad apple.
Larry, hold up for a second, Larry. Tree brought up a good point. I forgot to mention that. The DA that's working that case in Atlanta is Dwight Howard, the NBA player's uncle.
Okay.
That's all. Just mention that.
Well, I hope that I hope that there's a black DA brings some understanding of the case, and the dude prosecutes to the fullest extent of the law. But what I was going to say is that these officers, it's not just some bad apple case. It's systemic. I mean, I believe it was just today or yesterday, it was that in, I believe it was Hollandale Beach, Florida, the police chief had taken a knee in solidarity with the protesters, saying, "We understand." And as a consequence, the entire SWAT team resigned. The entire SWAT team resigned from not from the department, because it wasn't like they were going to say, "We're going to give up our salary," but they resigned from their SWAT units. So basically, the taxpayers spent, probably several $1 million training and equipping these guys, and because they didn't like the position that the police chief took, which was to be in support of the community for which they serve, they all decided they were going to resign. Now, that is so offensive in so many ways, but one of them is the most obvious, which is they are police officers. Their job is to protect and serve the community. It is not to be at war with the community. And because so many of these officers are taught that to act like warriors, to look like warriors, to sound like warriors, and to go out into the streets and engage with the public as if they are, enemy combatants and they are warriors, that you end up where you have these ultra violent, well-armed police departments going to war every day with civilians who are trying to buy hamburgers, and maybe they were drunk and fell asleep in the drive-through trying to buy a hamburger at midnight or something, or somebody selling loose cigarettes and doesn't realize that they're about to end up, on the other end of somebody who thinks that he's a warrior instead of a police officer. And the fact that you have these people resigning, basically what they are telling us is, if I cannot go out there and kill black people with impunity, I don't want to do this extra task. I don't want to do this extra job, because I only took this job so I can go out there and hurt and kill people. And if I can't do that, I don't want to do this job. That's really what it is.
I agree with that. And then I saw another police chief that took a knee. I want to say this was New Jersey, maybe even New York. Took a knee, and then because he got so much heat from his fellow officers in his district, he came back and apologized for taking a knee in solidarity with the community. And I'm sitting up here like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on,
I mean,
man.
if it was in your heart, if you felt it, then just do it and stand up for your beliefs. Don't back down because some of your officers were upset about it. Taking a knee is not some stance against the police. It is a stance against police brutality. And that's part of the problem with that whole attitude is that the police are so vicious and so brutal towards Black people, they cannot even separate out in their own minds the difference between police brutality and just being police. They view it as one and the same. And so they view when someone stands up against or takes a knee against police brutality, they view it as taking a knee against the police because for them, it is one and the same. They can't even imagine one without the other, especially when it deals with Black people.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, the police department is sort of bad, man, because I know a few cops and the ones that I know are all like pretty, they like pretty cool guys. And but right now, man, their whole image is fractured. And I would imagine that in any kind of poll you did, the morale and faith in the U.S. Police Department is at an all-time low right now. And when citizens are losing faith in those that that's supposed to be there to protect and serve them, man, it doesn't make for a good, clean recipe, man. Nothing good can come from that. I tell you, if these guys don't get it cleared up, if they don't get it cleared up, it puts us at a at a lose-lose situation, I think, because I don't think that they can easily clear it up. Just like you was just saying, the mayor or the governor or whoever that took the knee went back and apologized for it. So he really, that wasn't saying. He really didn't too much care about it. He was more so doing that, for whatever reason. It wasn't because that's what he wholeheartedly believed in. And I'm sure you got a lot of that going on all over the country. Folks coming out, our mayor and some representatives and governors, went through with their mask on, kneeling, in the streets and all this other kind of stuff. And that is what it is. Where do we start on the solution? How do we actually fix this messed up this travesty that's going on, and probably every police department across the United States? How do we fix that?
Burn it down and start from scratch, either literally or figuratively, whichever one needs to happen.
Yeah.
And having said that, we're gonna move to the next subject. But before we do, since my man loves to burn it down, you know what I gotta give him. You know what I gotta give him.
Yeah, go ahead and burn all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all!
That's right, man. Burn it all.
I tell you to do something, I mean that shit.
Now, I mean that. And boy, did you hear how he got that old man strength? That wasn't from that purple fruit. That was that old man strength. He grabbed that woman, put it up there. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shift gears. We're going to talk about Dave Chappelle and that special 846. If you're finding us for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Larry. Check out my man T Streams on Facebook. Super chat us if you want to. Download the podcast. I upload the podcast every day after the show, and we're going to talk about Dave Chappelle. But before we do, we all, I think, watched it. But here's a little snippet of what went down, And then we're going to break down what Candace Owens had to say because Dave Chappelle picked on her
Dave
ass.
Chappelle gets raw and real in 846. It's a new Netflix special on George Floyd's death that opens by taking on CNN anchor Don Lemon, who called out celebrities for not initially speaking out on police brutality. Let's take a look.
Do you want to see a celebrity right now? Do we give a what Ja Rule thinks? Does it matter about celebrity? No. This is the streets talking for themselves. They don't need me right now. I kept my mouth shut.
Don responded on CNN this morning saying he agrees with Dave's point, but says celebrities should use their platform to show that they support the people on the streets. Take a look.
But I think that they need to know that people like Dave Chappelle, like me, or whoever supports him. And that's all they need to know. But the irony is that his special is called 846. He's talking about this issue. And I think it's great. He's using his platform to talk about this in the way that he can.
I want to slip this in. 846 is also the time Dave Chappelle was born. It's on his birth certificate. And he said he couldn't get that amount out of his head because that's how long George Floyd, of course, had someone on his neck. And he said that's the moment I was born is 846. So he put this together. Al, is this really a stand-up special or is it just really just like a show, like a one-man show?
Dave Chappelle is the greatest comedian that has ever lived and probably ever will. It's not even close. And he's doing the thing that every comic dreams and imagines of. Maybe George Carlin got close to this, and that he's a social commentator.
Yeah.
He's a funny person, but there's nothing funny about the subject matter. He's able to get some jokes in there, but really it's more of a listening session and a man that's fed up and in pain speaking for all of us. So it's about 29 minutes. There's nothing more valuable you do with your time this Friday than watch that.
You've already seen it, Al, and you loved it, yes?
I saw it I got up and saw it this morning, yes.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Jeff, you've been shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, Al, man, we're brothers. I agree with you 100% on this. And people, Al, I don't think appreciate the intellect that goes into joke writing and comedy and the way to express your thoughts to the general public and have them absorb that knowledge. You know, a lot of people don't know what that goes into doing that. So for him to have a special like this and talk to people that breaks through all barriers, race, color, everything, like a Dave Chappelle, that's very special. So I think this is going to change the way a lot of people think. People are going to listen more to what Dave Chappelle is saying. So appreciate this man because he is, like Al said, if not the greatest, one of the greats.
Yeah, you know what he says too, Al, you know, when you're a comic and you get up there, you really want to have it memorized. And he said, guys, he likes it memorized. I mean, he doesn't like to go in there without it, but he's reading from a book and he's like, this is my thoughts. Sorry if it's unpolished. And I think that's exactly what we need
But it's
right
relatable.
now. And it's real. And
which
it's
is
real.
very hard to come across.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's freaking a guy from Ohio. He has a lot of...
But with that caliber of celebrity, I don't want to drone on here, but it's hard to find. And it's very special. And if you guys don't see that, you're missing something.
I agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, the young lady you're seeing right here on this screen, her name is Candace Owens, and she's a Republican pundit we can call her a shock jock. Dave Chappelle said that the things that came out of her mouth was as rotten as her vagina, and this is what she had to say. We've arrived too subtly into a culture where people can't laugh at themselves or want to restrain comedians. I will never be part of that culture. You are a legend. I love to meet you and challenge you to spit to my face. All love, Candace Owens. Now, ask me, do I think Dave Chappelle would meet up with Candace Owens and tell her this to her face? You better damn well believe he'd tell her to her face and probably blow cigarette smoke in her face too, with a quickness. He didn't just attack Republicans, ladies and gentlemen. So don't just think that that's who he went after. You heard that he went after Don Lemon. He went after him. He went after several people. But one of the most gripping things in the whole feature was how he told the story of how the black guy went out and was in some house in the country. They sent 400 police after him because this particular black guy took out one of their own. And he was paralleling that to the fact that every time the police take out an unarmed citizen, what the hell do you expect? Riots and burning shit down because you're taking out one of their own. And I thought this was a well done comedy special. It was funny, it was dramatic, it was entertaining, but it taught a lesson. And Dave Chappelle is really, really good at that. Now, to say Dave Chappelle is the greatest of all time, I ain't going that far. I like Dave Chappelle, but damn, he ain't the greatest of all time. But what he did right here, I felt like showed a lot of courage. He spoke up about it. He gave his personal story about it. He's mad as hell, and he's listening to the streets. I give it to you, Larry.
Well, I'm gonna have to dispute with you on that. I think he might be the greatest stand-up of all time. I mean, I think if Eddie Murphy would have continued on, I think he would have been probably the greatest stand-up of all time if he continued on. But he didn't. He stopped. He started making movies. He has never come back to stand-up. So, at this point, Dave Chappelle's got a good 20 years of catalog on him right there. So, but as far as the show, I thought the show was interesting. I thought it was important to see, and it was interesting. I wouldn't necessarily call it a stand-up. I think people were sort of duped into thinking maybe it was going to be a stand-up show like some of his others, and it really was. It was sort of like a TED Talk in some respects, but it was definitely good to see it. It was definitely, I'm happy he said some of the things he said, because as a comedian, he can say a lot of things that other people probably want to say, but just can't say because it's inappropriate for them in their current position. But especially as the type of comedian that he is, he looks to offend. Like, he's going to say what he says, and he says oftentimes, he sits up there and tells you and qualifies things and says, oh, I'm about to offend you. If you're offended easily, you might as well leave right now because I'm about to offend you about some stuff, And this is one of those things. I mean, Candace Owens, the reality of it is that people have talked about this for the longest time, is that if as an American, if we go to war and the Koreans come over and try and attack us, well, I'm going to fight the Koreans. I'm going to do whatever I do with the Koreans, but I'm not going to be angry at the Koreans because that's what they do. They're Koreans. They're trying to come here. Or it could be not. I'm not singling out the Koreans. It could be the Russians. It could be the Peruvians. It could be anybody. But that's what they do. They are a foreign enemy. They're trying to attack. But when you have your own people that betray you, it's not just a matter of what they did, but who did it. And she has betrayed our people, and there is no quarter for her. There is no quarter for her. I don't want anything deadly to happen to her, but if she's in that boat with Trump and the rest of them, where I just feel like if something does happen to you, I'm completely indifferent. I feel nothing. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel bad about it. I just simply don't feel anything about it. It's just the way it is, It's just the way it is.
Larry, I know you think Candace Owens is cute. You got that little poster of her in your YouTube studio.
I don't.
You can be honest with the fellas. We ain't gonna tell nobody.
I don't, but I will say this, and I'm not gonna. I don't have a poster of her. I will say this: Candace Owens is an attractive woman, which is one of the reasons why she has been elevated to the position that she's in, because she's an attractive woman who's intelligent to some degree and articulate. And as Dave Chappelle said, she's so articulate, and she is such an articulate dummy. She can articulate to you how dumb she is, and But the thing is that when you have someone who is articulate and they are attractive, they can be elevated to positions where their voice and their opinions can be heard. The problem is sometimes those voices and those opinions don't really deserve to be heard and are reckless and shouldn't be heard. And I know people don't like to hear that because people are thinking, oh, we're in a free society. Everybody should be heard. Everybody should not be heard. That's just to be real. Everybody should not be heard. Some people's voices are destructive and dangerous to the general society, and her voice and her opinions are destructive to the general society, and she should not be heard. And as a Black person, don't think that when it all comes tumbling down that you get to come skirting yourself back over here seeking refuge. No, and no. Just, no quarter for Candace Owens.
Well, if she do mess up, before I give the t-shirt, if she do mess up, if she wants to get on the road to redemption, she can do so by coming right to the show and we might decide if she can get some redemption. T-Strings, I'm gonna give it to you.
Well, I don't know. I don't find her attractive at all. I mean, I don't know. But
she's all right. She just all right. She
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
I'm not going to deny the woman the fact that she's an attractive because I don't like her. I mean, there's a lot of attractive people in this world that I thought were complete a-holes.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take away from the fact that they're beautiful. It just means that they're a beautiful a-hole.
Yeah. So one of the things
I don't think she's all that at all. See, Larry had a crush on Ramona, and I can't stand the way Ramona look. But I like Ramona on Power. But hey,
so what you do is you get a look at Candace Owens' face real good. All right, at the structure, the build of her face. All right. Then you take a look at the Crypt Keeper, and they have almost the similar.
Oh my Lord!
Except with skin.
Oh my goodness!
So if you think that about her, then you must think Gabrielle Union looks the same way, because a lot of people compare them to be similar in look.
Who, her and Gabriel? No, I'm talking about the bone structure, or the way her face is, the bone structure of her face, not the complexion of her skin or the flesh that's on it. I'm sort of jugging at the structure. The bone structure of her face is almost similar to the bone structure of the Crypt Keeper. But no, I don't think they favor. I'm not a real big fan of Gabrielle Union thought process. She thinks a little oddly on a few things, but she is attractive. But I don't think Candace is. Not for me. She is for some other people. But on relating to what we're talking about, you know, she's calling out the right one, fooling with Dave. She'll mess around and get her feelings hurt, and because she's not skilled at coming back from those snaps. And the more she try to make herself look smart, the more he'll make her look foolish.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She's trying to be slick about it, and Dave Chappelle's not stupid like that. She's trying to set up a situation where they can have some sort of live event where she'll say, he'll never say it to my face. I'll challenge him to a debate, or I'll challenge him to something or the other, a town hall or some crap, because she wants to get Dave Chappelle, who is a mega A-list star, to get on the same stage with her, who is basically like a C-list, you know, CNN, Fox News, right-wing pundit, somebody who's out there spewing hatred about her own people to get attention. She's trying to use Dave Chappelle and his blackness and his celebrity and his fame and his prosperity and his genius to elevate her. And I just don't believe he's dumb enough to get on a stage with her.
Yeah, so she's looking to be saved. Oh, E40 once had a song, "Save Captain Save Him."
Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her.
She don't want to be saved.
And
what amuses me with her is that, okay, for one, I understand that Trump do have some black supporters. Okay, hey, it is what it is. I don't support Trump. I don't see how others support him, black or white, but he do have black supporters. But I think she's some type of mule, man. She's on a whole different level, that it's almost like when she speaks, she's sort of denouncing like her very existence in the scheme of things related to her, her culture and her well-being. It's like it's almost null and void when it comes to her, because she has these extreme radical, views on some of these things. And it almost make you wonder, like, well, damn, is it other people like me that thinks like this? Because we do know that, Trump has some black folks behind him, and, some of them ain't
there are quite a few black folks out there that think like that because they don't like themselves. They've been told so many times by so many people that they're black, they're ugly, they're dumb, black people are criminals, that they internalize that, they believe it. And so they think to themselves, oh, if I can put down other black people in front of the white man, he'll look at me as something different. He'll appreciate me for being something different, and I can elevate myself above these other black people, not realizing that she has done nothing of the sort except for alienating herself amongst everyone, because the white folks don't want her. I mean, why would you want someone who turns on their own people, you know? And do you really think that person wouldn't turn on you?
Because they
and black
they
folks
need
don't
a
want her.
token. Whenever they can get their hands on a token, people like her come up, because I've seen there's
but she's
in
being
Reddit.
used. But she's being used. She's not ever.
Exactly.
She's not one of them.
That's what I was going to say.
She's
Right.
just being used by them. She's not one of them. You know.
Mm-hmm. They try to associate people like that into the group. So, but the show is great. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. Now, there's another hot button show that came out Friday that me and Larry and Stream, we got to talk about, and that's the Five Bloods review.
I'm sorry, Lamont. Before we move on, I just want to say, if you guys haven't seen it, you can watch it on Netflix, or excuse me, on YouTube on the Netflix is a Joke channel. It's free to watch. Netflix has a channel on YouTube called Netflix is a Joke, and you can watch it there for free. There's other places where you can see it, but the official version of it is on Netflix is a Joke channel on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. We're going to move on to the next one. But before we do, we've got a new super chat of my man Avery Adams, and we've got to give him something visual to see. And this is what I'm going to give him. Y'all ain't seen this one.
Holding number 18. Come on, Pete. Of their kicking team. With all that, it's an offset.
Thank you, my brother, for holding us down. And it offsets all the negativity that these MFs be throwing our way, because we bring it raw. So, ladies and gentlemen, Friday, by the way, subscribe to the channel, download the podcast, subscribe to Larry's channel, subscribe to mine. We're about to review The Five Bloods. It came out this past Friday. Me and Larry saw it. Larry, give your opinion first, and I'll just give one snippet of what I think. The one snippet I want to give before Larry goes in is it was too long. But Larry, you go first.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I did not enjoy this movie. I wanted to enjoy it. I looked forward to it. I watched it as soon as it came out. In fact, I was looking forward the day before, hoping I got a little early. But I watched it right when it came out, and I was thoroughly disappointed. You know, what I think what I've come to the conclusion is that with Spike Lee, when he first came out, we didn't have a whole lot of voices on the screen. We didn't have a lot of pictures of us on the screen. And so we were happy to see us. We were happy to support him and his filmmaking journey. And he has been a mentor. He has paved the way for a lot of up and coming filmmakers. And a lot of those up and coming filmmakers have come up, and they are a lot better. And as a consequence, we have seen the quality of filmmaking that Black producers and directors and writers can create and produce and direct. And Spike Lee stuff just isn't good enough anymore. I think that's really just what it boils down to, is that he's stagnant. The way that he is, he has some stylistic choices, which I understand. Some people want to have their signature shots in there, which I understand that. But the way he used to use it used to be meaningful and impactful. Now it's just a cliche. And it was way too long, like Lamont said. I mean, they could have, it was like a 2 hour and 35-minute movie. They could have chopped that down probably to 1 hour and 50 and not have lost anything. It was lacking emotional depth. I mean, there were some parts of it that just bothered me. Like I've been to Vietnam. Vietnam has an overabundance of beautiful women, and the Black dude has to fall in love, or not fall in love, but he has to find his interest in a French girl. I mean, all these Vietnamese, the fact they even had this chick in there, this French girl, I'm thinking, why not just have a Vietnam girl? Why not just have a girl that had been evacuated during the war and was repatriated back to Vietnam, and had her do it, had her as part of this organization? I don't know. I mean, she came off as like real, like seriously, like the token white chick. I mean, it was really sort of, that part was shameful and bothered me. It was unnecessary, and the whole movie, I'll be honest with you, that whole movie was a disappointment. When you've been to Vietnam and you've seen how beautiful it is, when you've actually gone on and floated down the Mekong Delta and you've seen the majesty of that place, and it's not captured with the cinematography, it is very, very disappointing. There was no reason for that film to, even if the story wasn't fantastic, to not be absolutely beautiful, and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. I was going to say the other issue other than the time was the cinematography was horrible. It literally looked like this was a production done by a YouTuber. And I ain't being funny. I got, like Larry said, mad respect for Spike Lee. He's my guy. But I didn't like them popping in pictures to highlight parts of the story. I felt like you should have just done some video for that part. And
he does that. He does that in all his movies, and it's too on the nose.
I really didn't. I felt like the script was kind of weak. It's not only weak, but also predictable.
Yeah.
So those were outcast. Don't get me wrong. Every single person on that cast, except for two of those white people in the gang of three, I didn't care for, but everybody else was fine for the cast. But the script was weak. The story was somewhat predictable, and I didn't like the overall. The whole thing just didn't do it for me. If I was rating this movie, I'd give it a 5. T-Strings, what did you think, and did you see it?
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm gonna chalk it up to saying that I fell asleep. But so before I say that,
damn.
Before that,
the fact that you fell asleep.
well, I was going to try to say I was going to chalk it up to it being late, because I think I started watching it like 11 o'clock or something, or 11, 12 o'clock, but I was already in bed snacking, and I think, man, so like half dozing and try to stay up and watch it. And I think the only part that I really remember is I think they was either in the airplane, or they was in some place they had found some gold or something, and so I really, so I didn't really see how long it was or anything. Whatever it was they was getting ready to share. I'm opening my eyes, like trying to stay up and watch it, because from just like Spike Lee is sort of like Quentin Tarantino. When they drop movies, you expect a certain angle from them. But I didn't like really like get off into it, and again, like I say, is probably because it was late when I tried to watch it. I'm gonna chalk it up to that, and I'll try to brew through it again. It's a few movies that I sort of, and then tried to get back and watch them, and if it goes that way again, then it's probably a done deal. I would probably believe you when you say a 5 out of 5 on on that deal, but I don't know, man. I'll have to sit there and watch it when I'm like fully alert, and
I watched it at 9 o'clock, and I had to take an hour and 35 minutes. I had to go to bed, man, and watch the rest of it the next day.
Right.
That's not good. The movie should have only been an hour and 35 minutes, period.
Yeah.
Period.
I was bored. Bored at one point when I hit pause. I was bored, and I looked up and I was like, "Oh snap! There's still an hour and 47 minutes left." I was like, "There's a whole other movie left." I mean, this is one of those things. Sometimes there are good movies that are long, and they're long, but they don't feel necessarily as long. This movie felt long. It felt long before it was even halfway over, and some of the stuff, like Lamont said, there was so much stuff in there that was just so predictable. Like we knew, I'll tell you, part of it was predictable because a lot of the story seemed a lot like that movie, Triple Frontier, with Ben Affleck, where they basically all went over and went to go get that money from some drug dealer or something, and had to go hike out of the mountains with it. It's the same thing, except they were hiking gold out of a jungle. But they're like the scene with the one dude where he got blown up by the landmine. It was so cheesy. It was like he's backing up. It was almost like he was backing up slowly, trying to find his mark so they can let up the demolition. But it was like, come on, y'all. I was like, that whole scene was so utterly predictable. It was just ridiculous. I mean, this whole thing with he's at the son is at the bar at the hotel. He meets this girl who has a nonprofit that does landmine removal. I'm like, oh great, okay, so they're gonna be out in the bush, and they're gonna end up having to run into landmines. It was as soon as they said that, it was just the whole thing. You knew how the whole thing was going to play out. It was just, I'll tell you, it really fit. I hate to say this. If you're listening, Spike, I hate that you have to hear this. It really just felt like lazy writing. Like there was nothing in there where they were trying to throw us any curveballs. They were trying to make us think. The whole thing that they do with his long, on the nose, preachy speeches about Crispix addicts and us being the first ones that died for this country, and then throwing pictures on the screen. All that's just all preachy and on the nose. Stop treating us like we're in middle school history class. We are grown folks watching a movie. Challenge us a little bit. If you can. You can.
Yeah, he may be a little bit right now.
Yeah, Spike Lee getting long in the tooth, fellas. He's getting on up there, man. He's getting on up there. But ladies and gentlemen,
I would have liked to have seen Ryan Coogler. I would have liked to see Ryan Coogler or F. Gary Gray direct this, or Antoine Fuqua. I would love to see one of them direct it.
Or Lena Waithe. She could have done it. Hell, I mean, man.
I would have rather her maybe have written it.
Right along,
I think I would have had like her have written that and then maybe passed it off to like Antoine Fuqua or something.
Yeah, man. She can get that done. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to the next show that we're going to review. Me and Larry are watching, that you guys should be watching. If you're finding us for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. Download the podcast, check out Larry's channel, follow us on the gram. Larry, what did you think about Hightown last episode 5, season 1? That's a great, crazy show. It's got some beautiful people on both sides of the aisle. Then it's got some beautiful people that ride the aisle. And the main character yesterday, her name is Jackie. And her ass is slipping back to being an alcoholic. Now, mind you, she works for the Marine Police. Their whole job is to go out, catch fishermen, make sure they're not grabbing lobsters who's got too small a penis or whatever. And she runs up on this chick that's murdered, and she finds the friend of the chick that's murdered who's on the run, who's also an addict. Jackie has found out where this chick is at, got her number, left her a message, told her to call her, and Jackie had an opportunity to save this girl yesterday. But guess what?
Junkies gone junk.
Because not only did she get drunk again, then she started snuffing up cocaine with Larry and Mo, these two chicks, and they had the nerve to say that the one chick that was wearing light up shoes, like hell, this ain't LA gear, wearing light up shoes, had butterflies on her back. I mean, man, it was a mess. Because Jackie got caught up with those two chicks, she could not go save Krista. The only person left that was the friend of the girl that came up dead. This is a good show, y'all. The only thing bad about this show is that damn opening theme song. But other than that, this is a good show. Larry, what'd you think?
I mean, when I was
that
watching
theme song is horrible, man. It's like they want you to believe you have to watch Saved by the Bell. Come on, bro.
You think it needs to be grittier?
Hell yeah, it needs to be grittier. I mean, it literally sounds like you're about to go surfing. Maybe that's the appeal they want. Maybe that's what they're going for. But the show is too dark. Yeah. The show is just way too dark for that theme song.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching last night and I was just thinking to myself, yeah, what's her name is just, I mean, she's a junkie. She's a junkie and an alcoholic. And I mean, the whole thing's a disaster. It's like she shouldn't have gotten her job back, and she's probably gonna end up going to jail because she's still got to go to court, and they're gonna test her at some point. They're gonna pee test her, and she's gonna be dirty she's gonna have cocaine in her system. She's gonna have alcohol in her system, and she's up there partying it up. I mean, she was sober for what, like 4 days or something, and then she just started partying it up again. And I feel bad. I feel bad for her friend, the dude that's a recovering addict, that's a dealer, because that dude is like, he did not want to be about that life.
Junior?
Yeah, he did not want to be about that life. And yeah, and that Haitian dude, him and the other guy just dragged him all the way into it. He's just like, he's full blown in it now. He's up there, he tried to murder that chick, and then the other dude basically took her out for him, and just it's a mess, man. It's a mess. I mean, dude, he needs to get off the Cape is what he needs to do. He needs to just pack his stuff and get up off the Cape, move to Arizona or something.
I'm gonna have to check.
Junior, so you got to check it out, man. Junior deep into it, Larry, because he's the one that was hired to dump the body.
Right.
He dumped the girl's body that died, and he's tied to Aceto. Aceto obviously has a soft spot for Junior. I don't know what their backstory is because they didn't tell us. But he has a soft spot for Junior. But here's the problem. Did you hear who Frank said needs to be eliminated when they went to see him in jail yesterday? He said not only did Krista need to be eliminated, but Jackie needs to be eliminated too.
Right.
And Junior ain't trying to mess with Jackie. Jackie is his friend.
Right.
But the other thing that was messed up when they killed Krista, they at the very end, if you watch my review yesterday, I showed you a picture. In the very end, me and my wife were saying Aceto and Junior went in there, killed this girl, and they took all the damn evidence, left all the evidence in there.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, they touched
syringe,
needles. Yeah.
And Junior left the syringe on the floor, and Officer Saberho found it.
Yeah, you have the syringe. You have the bag of dope. You have the syringe. You have the bag of dope. The door.
Door handle. So and you already know they're gonna put the squeeze on Junior. Junior is finicky. He's flaky, and it's gonna put him. They're either gonna make him rat on Jackie, or they're gonna threaten to take his family away. It's gonna be one or the other one. I personally think Junior is gonna die. And at the end of the season, they're going to let Frank out of jail. And I think that his baby mama is going to be in too deep with Officer Saberho because it looks like they're starting to like him.
Yeah, that's the thing I was wondering, because it seemed like she started to really feel him.
Yeah. By the way, Renee, for those of y'all that don't know her, she looks kind of like Scarlett Johansson a little bit. And when she put on that makeup and stuff, she be blowing Officer Saberho's mind blown. But yesterday, they made it seem as though he was really working her as a CI versus her working him for Frank, because he pulled that okie doke on her, ladies and gentlemen. So fellas, if you really want a woman to know that you like her and she has a kid, do special things, not just for her, but for her and the kid. You really can get that emotional bank to open up, and you can make white on white deposits, if you know what I'm saying.
Here you go, man. Here you go.
Hey, well, we'll leave it at that, since T-Streams don't know what we're talking about, and we'll move on to Marvel. If you're not enough for the first time, again, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so when we drop videos, you get them. Download the podcast. Link is all in the description. Check out Larry's channel. Link is in the description. We've got some Wolverine Marvel news that deals with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're doing the show Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Leaks came out that they're going to careen Wolverine into the X-Men via one of Wolverine's main villains. Fellas, check this out. They are really getting deep, and hopefully we don't got to wait till we senior citizens to see any of this stuff. Take a look.
What's this? Open it. Interesting.
How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to my channel, The Cosmic Wonder, where we talk about all things Marvel and everything relating to the MCU. Today we have a truly awesome leak that comes from a leaked set photo from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And from the looks of this leaked set photo, what we believe it to be looks like it's tying in Wolverine to Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And not only that, but it looks like we're starting to see the bigger picture of the MCU, tying in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Widow, and other Phase 4 and Phase 5 movies to come later on. All seemingly connected by one villain in particular that has a very specific connection to Wolverine. And in these photos, it reveals that Sam and Bucky are going to have more than just one main villain to deal with, as it reveals a biker gang. And the biker gang itself isn't really what Sam and Bucky are going to have to worry about, it's who they're working for. As we can see, on the back of their gang jackets is a logo, and that logo is a red flaming skull. Now, of course, this sparked a lot of interest in the community. Many people were wondering who this biker gang is and what does the logo on the back of their jackets mean, but it seems like the community has figured it out. And it's actually pretty clear now. This looks exactly like the logo for Ogun in the Death of Wolverine comic. As you can see, the logo for Ogun looks pretty much exactly identical to the one that's on the back of these bikers' jackets. Now, if this is true, and this is in fact the symbol for Ogun on the back of these jackets, that means that Wolverine is being tied into the show. And the reason is because Ogun is a very specific Wolverine villain. And here's where everything kind of starts to connect. Ogun is the main villain in the Wolverine comic Death of Wolverine, and in the story there's a virus in the microverse which causes Wolverine's healing factor to go away, so he can no longer heal. His enemies then find out that he can't heal, and Wolverine finds out that there's a bounty on his head. So Wolverine sets out to find who put this bounty on his head. After working his way through a chain of villains, he's directed towards Lord Ogun, and Ogun eventually identifies himself as Dr. Abraham Cornelius, the founder of the Weapon X program.
Woo! It's getting good. Now I had to change hats on that one. T-Streams, I'm gonna give it to you first, since we couldn't get you involved in the last one that much. How would you like to see them introduce X-Men, starting with Wolverine, into the Falcon Winter Soldier story to get them jumped into Marvel Phase 5?
Bring it on. Bring it on, man. I think that now that you know these things are starting to circulate, man, I think that's going to be pretty dope. I think that's going to be pretty dope, and I like to. I'm sort of eager to see it. I want to see what they're going to do with Oregon, how they're going to actually how they're going to wing that. But man, I know the entire Marvel fan base is probably going nuts right now.
Look at my hard on. I got a hard on, man. I'm trying to push it down. Get down, man. Stop showing off in front of the camera, you fool. Look, Marvel's not. Get down there, man. Let me tuck my shit in there, man. Got a geekgasm. What the hell?
Tripping.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, man. I'm actually excited, man. I think this is finally, well, I'm going to say all of it's been good news, but this is like this is actually some good breaking news for a change, like with some of this stuff, and I'm really eager to see how they're going to what they're going to do with this, especially by tying it into the the
MCU.
Yeah, and so because it is not. It can't be easy. Their universe is just about as complex as ours, and so I'm like really I'm sort of eager to see what they're going to do with that, man. And again, hopefully we can get to the movies and go see something like that.
I'm curious if they bring the
the
X-Men
thing
over.
about that show is going to be on Disney Plus.
Really?
And that's that's on Disney Plus. Falcon and Winter Soldier is a Disney Plus show. And what I like that Marvel is doing is that they're including some of the characters and storylines that are going to be on the big screen on the Disney Plus service. So what better way to let us start to like these characters before we see them on the big screen by sprinkling them into some of these small screen stories. Like WandaVision is going to have Wanda and Vision, and they're going to have storylines going to the big screen with that. Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they're going to be back on the big screen too. This is well thought out by Marvel to have all these smaller people in these movies. That way you can introduce bigger characters in these movies before you put them on the big screen. Larry, it's on you.
I'm curious that if they bring the X-Men over, are they going to bring Deadpool with them? Because I feel like Deadpool's been getting left out, and he's probably one of the best Marvel characters out there. So I would love to see a team up with Deadpool and Killmonger. That would be awesome right there. That'd be awesome. Come on, man. You know that'd be incredible. You know it would be.
Go ahead and burn all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all!
See? Killmonger standing amongst the flames. Deadpool's all burnt up because he was amongst the flames. They're up. They are made for a buddy film.
Yeah, well,
man, are you done?
Well, in a sense, I feel with him, man. I really hope they don't abandon Deadpool, because that was really like it brought on a whole different entertainment, especially to the adult fan base. And so, we know Disney is for kids and stuff like that, man. But please, if anybody from Disney is hearing my voice, please do not abandon Deadpool.
No. Deadpool is one of my favorite parts of Marvel. Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy, they're one of my favorite. Those are part of my favorites of the whole Marvel world. So I'm hoping that if they bring the X-Men over with them, I hope they bring Deadpool with them too.
Right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know, I'll definitely do the digging for it. But I can tell you right now, I'm not going out there digging up no Killmonger. You can forget that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to find me another clip, because I'm tired of this Killmonger love from this brother over here. But we'll conclude, Marvel. Look, now you done got T-Stall into it, man. Matter of fact, T-String, this is for you, man. Damn it. This is for you. You done got all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all!
I want to tell somebody so bad to cut that Negro's hair. Cut his hair. Give him a damn haircut, man.
See, that's what happens. You see what's going on in the world today in this country. That's what we're like, yeah, where's our Killmonger? Where's our liberator? All we need are the tools so that we can shake off our oppressors.
Yeah.
Oh, give me my vibranium. Give me my vibranium.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of Marvel for today, because these dudes beat, man, Lord have mercy, my blood pressure.
Can I get my black people
right
dancing?
Along.
Can I get my black folks dancing?
Oh, Larry, I had to cut that one. Guess why?
Oh, that was copyright.
I had to get rid of that one. Yeah.
Copyright. He had a good one too. He had a good one, positive one. Anything black positive, anything that's positively black, they make you get rid of it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, man.
I still got that.
Man. They tried to play me on that one.
Yeah. They don't want to.
In finance today. Yep. In financial news, ladies and gentlemen, the last story of the day. We've been talking about stocks, gradual, trying to get some of you guys involved. If you haven't already, download the Robinhood app. Use my link. It's absolutely free. And when you decide to get a stock, me and you both get one to share. But me and Larry, we're thinking about doing our own little segment, maybe once a week, where we review stocks and show you what we're doing with our portfolios, which is why we keep teasing out this segment. So we're going to talk a little bit about my homeboy, Market Gains, and what he saw was going on in the marketplace today. Take a quick look at this, then we'll break it down for you.
All right, guys. So the Dow has already dropped 600 points right now, June 15th, around 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., simply because we're seeing a huge uptick in the virus numbers so far. So remember how around, a few weeks ago, we saw the flattening of the curve and a lot of cases started slowly going down. And this is why the overall graph started going up. I mean, it's understandable because when there's less viruses, people feel safer, people go on vacation trips. But now with the protesting, pretty much no one really wants to do social distancing anymore. I'm at the mall, I see a lot of people not wearing masks, which is pretty worrisome in my opinion. And you should definitely, at least do your part, wear a mask, prevent the spread. And it's not just the US. If you check out China so far, there's a huge spike in China, Beijing especially. Spikes continue with 36 new cases, and it's kind of scary, especially how Beijing right now, China's capital, is already shutting down a lot of their stores. Now, this is kind of scary because now investors are like, well, we shut down our own stores in the US. And I can tell you right now that if we shut down stores for a second time, it's almost impossible for a lot of mom and pop stores to open up because they're already in so much debt. They're not making that much money anymore. And even so many of these buffets in my location, these takeout places, these smaller clothing stores owned by families, they're getting hit super hard to the point that they almost can't even recover right now. And if you tell them to close again, yeah, I highly doubt that they can even open up once again. But of course, you can see pre-market, it's super volatile right now. It's going up and down, and it's even going in little circles. But so far, the whole reason why we've dropped so much pre-market, 600 points by the Dow. And by the way, if you look at the vacation stocks right now, it's plummeting as well. And it's not a fun time for a lot of people. So yeah, you can see the virus it's spreading again. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but a lot of people have been saying the colder the temperature, the more likely the virus is spreading. It's kind of like the flu, but of course, I'm not really sure what's going on. And you can see Utah, Arizona sees cases spike after reopening. Could Nevada be next? Things aren't really that safe. So investors, they're kind of panicking. So they're selling a lot of their shares, which I perfectly understand.
So ladies and gentlemen, that was pre-market. The day ended pretty well, and Tesla was up again near $1,000. Now, a lot of the marketplace initially tends to be speculation, but my motto is you're investing, so you're going to be holding for a long time. And what has gotten us all through? What advice have we given you guys throughout this whole time period? You might as well say that we are corona-proof brothers, because we given you guys stock choices that were corona-proof. Tech stocks, ladies and gentlemen. I was telling y'all to buy Tesla when it first hit, and it was $408. Today it ended at $998. Not the record that it hit last week, but it went high because Tesla is moving cars in China like I was poor. I don't know if any of y'all was poor, but I was poor. And we used to have that government cheese. And anytime you use that government cheese on anything, you put it in the pan, it melts a whole hell of a lot quicker than Kraft. So they was buying it like government cheese melt in the frying pan. And that has been powering Tesla stock to go up. Not to mention Tesla's about to open a company in Texas. They're about to open a new plant in Texas. So I said all that to say, number one, you can't control what these idiots are doing out there by not wearing a mask, thinking that they're being macho. Let them get sick. Let them F up. When they mess up, you use their mess up as an opportunity to do better. Continue sticking with the tech stocks. You can't go wrong with that. And we will keep bringing you guys the right tech stocks to pick. And if you can, get yourself a fractional share of Tesla, because Tesla is not coming down, ladies and gentlemen. There are places in the world that have opened up that are buying up electric cars left and right. In all honesty, America is the last great nation to get in on the small car or the electric car movement. They've been using tiny cars and electric cars in Europe for a long time and in China for a long time. But here, we got some gas guzzling hogs here that don't want to give it up, but they will because of the technology involved in these cars as well as how fast they go. What you think, Larry?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of time before they have built out the infrastructure for people to recharge their cars pretty much everywhere. I think that's one of the biggest sort of hurdles for a lot of people getting into an electric car like the Tesla is that they often think, well, okay, if I have a gas car and I need to take a road trip somewhere that's 1,000 miles away, I live in Texas, but I want to go visit my family in Ohio or something. They don't have to worry about where they're going to stop to get gas, and they can just stop at some random place anywhere, get their gas, fill up, and be on their way. People for a long time haven't been sure, and they're still not sure about how they go about charging their vehicles, while they're out and on the road. And while there are ways you can do it, like you've talked to me about it, how you can get basically your routing telling you when and where you need to get off so you can go charge your vehicle. People aren't really aware of that. And that Tesla and the other electric car makers really need to educate the public on that. So it's not such a scary proposition to say, okay, this can be my only car. Because for a long time, people looked at Teslas and other electric cars as a second car, that you could use if you were just going on short commutes or around the town car. But they really need to educate the public that these electric cars can actually be your main car. And then I think they'll really take off a lot more than they already have.
Well, I guess that's my job. That's going to be my job. I got to keep educating people on it. Because as we educate, we also put things in that bank account because it's the wave of the future, whether anybody wants to jump on it or not. And I do get bothered that so many Black people are willing to blow extra money on stuff like a Range Rover, some high dollar Jag, and you get half the technology, not as much appreciation. You don't get any of the benefits, but you're just blowing a lot of money. And it bothers me. So I take it as my job to educate people on the goodness of what an electric car by Tesla can do. Dreams. Any thoughts on the stock market and the volatility of it and what you've been seeing in your stocks?
Well, up, down, up, down, up, down. But I have no interest in pulling anything right now. So I'm in it for the long haul, which I expect things to be extremely volatile right now. Surprisingly, though, is not as bad as what you would assume. So there's definitely money to be made out there, and on this Tesla deal, man. Yeah, I need to get me some of that because it's from what I see, it's definitely standing the test of time on the short end of the stick. So I'm assuming, it wasn't too long ago when we were talking about it being at 400. I see my mom was out there asking for Jet token. I haven't heard of that either. And by the way, hi mom. So so I'll have to I'll look into some of that stuff as well. But hey, is right now it's an up and down. It's an up and down fight. The one thing I can say is that if you guys been following some of these tips though, and snatching up at least on some of those that's pretty affordable. Hey, some probably sitting good right now looking at just some of the tips back 2-3 months ago. So so it's an up and down thing, and I intend to see it do a full rebound and get back strong, especially once commerce is back, back booming like it once was. I'm sure a lot of that stuff will change. Yeah. I don't think.
And I agree with what everybody's saying. Definitely, it's a long haul thing unless you're trying to do dividend living. Some people balance their portfolios with long-term investment stocks that don't pay dividends because you just want the stock appreciation. And then some of us are out there going after, we want dividends that pay either monthly or quarterly or yearly. Me personally, I'm kind of balancing doing both is what I'm doing. Tesla for me is long-term play. I look at Tesla kind of like the beginning of like Microsoft, Apple, those type companies. And I told Larry, I could see this stock getting up to about $5,000, maybe 10 before Elon decides to split it into two stocks. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can, put as much as you can into Tesla and other tech. Another good tech stock would be Shopify, because nowadays everybody is creating their own store where they can sell things. Shopify is the #1 site online people use to set up a store to sell stuff. And their stock is pretty high too. And it's been growing this whole entire time. Zoom is a good one you can get your hands on. And Zoom is not as expensive as some of these other names we're mentioning. But if you want something that's going to be coronavirus tested, pandemic tested, to last the long haul, anything in the tech sector can be used even when people have to stay home, or even when there's a great sickness, or even if there's a war. Anything like that you still can use that's in the tech sector. Grab you some. And I think I'm going to do a report on maybe 5 or 6 good dividend stocks that are below $80 that you can buy that can start giving you money back each and every month and every quarter. I might do that like Friday when I get my notes together, pull out the ones that I use that have been doing well.
Right. I was kicking myself before about not buying Tesla. Still not so much anymore. I still do, but I think what I'm going to do with Tesla is I'm going to wait it out. And because I honestly believe there's going to be another big market. Some people say crash, some people say correction. I think there's going to be another one probably towards the fall. It's going to take another big severe drop. And when that happens, I fully expect Tesla. I mean, if they keep growing and going up and go into the $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 range, who knows what it will come down to. But if it stays where it is around now, anywhere between the $900, $800, $1,000 range, somewhere around there, I think when that correction hits, it may drop back down to around $600 or $700 a share. And when it does, that's when I think I'll probably buy in. So. Yesterday I almost bought some Viacom CBS stock, and I should have. I didn't, and it went up today. It dropped. It was down at I think it was down at like $22, $21. Anyways, it went up by $2.42 today. It's at up to $25.32. So
why? What pushed it that high? Do you know there's some big announcement, or what pushed it that high?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what pushed. I know that they've been. I think they're really undervalued though right now. I think they're at the lower end of where they're normally at, because their 52-week high is like $5,300. It's like $53, and so they're sort of towards the middle, but on the low end of that. So I think because of the type of company it is, where they do most of its entertainment, and when we are in the middle of this pandemic and heading probably into we're heading into the winter time, people stay at home more, and then you have this whole pandemic thing on top. There's going to be many more people just watching TV. There's going to be people that are subscribing to Showtime, which is a CBS Viacom property. I think some of those stocks are just going to do really well in the coming months, and even though it's on the lower end now, I think it's going to pick up steam going into the end of the fall, into the winter. So we'll see. I could be wrong.
Yeah. And so my man Buzz just made a good point too. He's got some Uber stock, and he's going to ride Uber out for the long run. Uber went up today because they dropped a report on their earnings, and the food delivery business has kept Uber still going up. But Buzz also makes a good point that I have mentioned to you guys before, that eventually Uber is going to be using all autonomous cars. Well, who do you think they're going to buy those cars from? Tesla. Yeah. Like I told you, Tesla's going to get to the point where they said that I'll be able to control my car from my cell phone to do deliveries. Got to think about that. But I'm with Larry on this too. There will be a dip, ladies and gentlemen, whether you want to believe it or not. Yeah. There is going to be a dip in the fall because these dumbass Americans can't keep their asses in the house or adhere to the guidelines that the CDC is giving. And what makes me so mad is these same mofos running around here talking about some all lives matter. All lives matter. It's the same MFers running around not wearing a mask, telling you that they don't care about your life or the life of the white guy next to them. If all lives matters, put a damn mask on. So if you're asymptomatic, you're not going to pass it to somebody else. All lives don't matter to these people. They don't. And it's become such a political point to them to not wear a mask. They don't understand how they're hurting their boys' chances of getting back office, because if they would wear the mask, we could be like Sweden and have this thing pretty much knocked on out. But no. We got to be out there ball naked, wearing 500 pounds with no mask on, eating Kentucky Fried Chicken on the Ozarks beach, coming back making people sick. It's on you, man. That's on you. And Larry, let's let T-Streams have the last word. It's Monday. We're scared we might not see you for another week. So T-Streams, you get the last word tonight.
Well, it's warming up all across the country. And so, continue to use common sense while you're out. If you don't have, I'm starting to see more sanitizer and stuff now being, in stores. So at one point, we had to order it and stuff. So make sure you keep that stuff handy and watch your surroundings. But on top of that, continue to look into your portfolios, get it, diversified as, to the best of your ability so that you always have several points of income. I once was told that millionaires normally have 7 sources of income. So if you have 1 or 2, start doing things and looking at ways that you can expand, because right now, Social Security might be a little bit tight for people like us, who is right around the corner for. And $300 or $400 a month is not gonna $300-400 a month is not gonna make it. So start looking into that and planning and preparing for the future. Wednesday I'll try to be in a little bit earlier. My place is open now, so my time I have to sort of work it, but I finagled it pretty good today. Got out. I was a few minutes late, but I think when I got in, we was just starting. So, just keep it chill. We got Father's Day coming up. If there's a father in your life, whether it's your son, brother, your dad, don't forget to honor them as well. Dads are just as important as moms as well. I know some of you will probably be celebrating Juneteenth instead of, on July 4th. Whichever you choose is fine with me. Whatever you do, have fun, play it safe. That's about it.
That's right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, get yourself a life game. Me and Larry, probably T-Streams, will be back on Wednesday. If not, we're just glad that we saw the brother, because we want to make sure he's doing this thing. And we can live with 1 time a week. We just got to make sure you're good. That's all we got to do. We just got to make sure you're good.
Yeah. I want to make sure Tressa C didn't kidnap you.
No, I know that's impossible. Because she was on our live stream Friday and she jumped up here today too. So I know she ain't about to go drive all the way to Detroit. Do no busy mess like that, Larry. Yeah. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. Be easy, my people.
Okay.
Peace.